This is part 2 of my ex-boss went bankrupt after I contacted her ex-husband about leaving me alone with her kids. If you want to see part 1, you can check it out in the description below. Hey everybody, some of you guys remember me from a post that kind of blew up on here a few months ago. I think the title was, "My Karen boss left her babies for me to babysit for 3 weeks while she travels the world, so I called her ex-husband." Well, a lot of people have been asking about my ex-boss and her multiple court cases, and as far as I know, there are still several ongoing. With regards to the child endangerment and the neglect case brought against her by her ex, I think they agreed to settle outside of court, as I hadn't been called in for any additional statements. Last I heard, she was struggling to pay for her legal fees, and the children are in custody of their father, the one who I called when they were left with me. As for me, I've been having a hard time finding a job. To be honest, I know that I said in the last post that I anticipated finding it difficult to find a new position, but I severely underestimated just how few people are actually hiring people in my position right now. I spend half my days scrolling through job postings and applying, but I haven't been called for a single interview from any of them as of yet. I took a week off after the ordeal with my ex-boss, as I stated in the last post, but ever since then, I've been looking for a new job and there's been nothing yet. It's been about 3 months now and I'm pretty broke. My mom's been trying to help out as best she can, but she barely has enough money to pay her own rent, let alone help with mine. I end up having to move back home, which has been terrible for my mental health. I'm 25 years old, back under my mother's thumb. She tries her best to let me feel independent, but it sucks having to rely on her to drive me around, just to hand out resumes because I can't afford the bus fare. The issue is this. I was at my last job for 5 years, ever since I was 20. I don't even finish college because I was too eager to be right into the workplace and start making some money. This was all fine and good then, but now I'm a 25-year-old dropout with no degree, no qualification, and certainly no references from my old employer. Well, yesterday, I get a phone call from a private number, and I was hoping that it was a call back from an employer about one of the many applications that I've handed out over the past. Well, it was actually my ex-boss's ex-husband on the phone. I haven't seen him since the day I was called into court to testify against his wife, so it was surprising to get a call from him. I also found it strange that he called personally, as he has such an importance of a character and always busy. But I guess I appreciate the courtesy. It shows a level of respect that I've never been shown before, and I really do appreciate it. Well, we talked about his kids before we got to the real point of the call. I had to pretend I cared about how they were doing, which makes me sound like a jerk, but I really just have zero interest in children, and it takes a lot out of me to pretend to. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm glad that they're doing all right. They're missing their mother a lot, but with the way he talks about her like he has a bad taste in his mouth, I don't really want to pry much about her. I'm not about to insert myself back into these people's business when I didn't even mean to get into it in the first place. After the boring small talk was finished, he asked me if I've had any thoughts about my offer. And at that point, I had no idea what he was talking about, until I remembered that he'd offered me a job back when he arrived to pick up his kids. I thought that he was just being polite back then, so it took me a while to realize that he was actually being genuine. To be honest, I hadn't given it any thought. The most I'd felt was nervous that my ex-boss, Mary's lawyer, would start yelling at me and call a testimony fake because I've been offered a job by the plaintiff. Well, that never happened, so the entire thing just kind of flew out of my head. I was scrambling for a few seconds before I managed to remember what he was even talking about, and I felt like an absolute idiot during those few seconds of silence on the phone. Here I was, stumbling and stuttering over my words on the phone with a millionaire who felt like he owed me a favor for not accidentally killing all his children? I think he realized that I had not given the thing much thought, because he told me to think about it some more and said that he would call me again in a couple of days. So now I'm just waiting on a call from one of the richest people I've ever met. I think I mentioned briefly in the last post that he owns a really successful restaurant chain. I won't mention the name of it just for the anonymous sake, for everybody involved, but think big, and I mean global. I don't even know what kind of job he would be offering me. He already has an assistant as far as I know, and that's pretty much the job I've always had, apart from helping father out during the summers in his store. What if he wants me to be like, I don't know, a line cook or something? I have no experience in the food industry. I barely know how to feed myself. I live on either takeout or, more recently, my mom's cooking. I've burnt toast so bad that the fire department's actually been called. I'm certainly not qualified to be working in a kitchen. I guess he could be offering a position as a waiter or a host or something, but to be honest, I'm 25. I want a job that can lead to a career. I don't want to be stuck waiting tables for the rest of my life. On the other hand, though, I really do need a job. I can't stand living with my mom for much longer. I know she means well and has the best intentions, but I cannot handle her poking her head around my doorframe and asking how the job hunt's going for much longer. I just can't do it. It isn't sustainable. And one of these days, I'm going to absolutely lose it. Well, I'm flatly broke, and I feel like a complete burden on her. She's tried to hide it, but I know that she's had to pick up some extra shifts to help pay for me moving back in. She says she's going to bingo or visiting friends, but she'll be wearing her work uniform at the same time, as if I'm not going to put the two and two together. I'm really not in the position to be picky with employment right now, and heck, I've even applied for a job as a waiter in a few local diners. So I really should not be saying anything about not wanting to be a waiter. Another issue is that I don't want this man to give me a job out of pity. He's crazy rich, and he's probably somehow found out that I'm struggling to find a job. And it's really just truly kind of him to even offer. But it rubs me the wrong way to know that he's offering me out of nothing more than charity. It makes me feel cheap. But I've pretty much run through my savings, and I know my mom's running through hers too. She's getting older, and when I moved out, she cut down on her hours to lessen the strain. She's got bad knees, and having to go back to full-time can't be good for her. On one hand, it feels like my life's become a complete mess ever since I've called him to come take his kids off my hands. But on the other, I still believe that I did the right thing. Something bad was bound to happen with me as the sole caregiver for 3 toddlers, and I didn't want that on my conscience. Anyways, that's the update you guys were asking for. I know this probably wasn't the triumphant post you were hoping for, but there you go, that's life. I'll let you all know how it goes when this man eventually does call me back. Even though I have no idea what I'm even going to say when he asks if I've thought about this offer. I've definitely thought about it, but I'm no closer to an answer than I ever was. Update number 1. Hey everybody, just got off the phone with that man and immediately had to stop on here and let you know how it went. To start off, he did not want me to be a line cook or a waiter at all, and even laughed when I said that I've been expecting that. I thought that was what he was going to do, offering a nothing job so that he would not feel like he had a debt to me anymore. But oh boy, I was wrong. This man wants me to be manager of one of his local locations. He said that he was impressed with the way I handled my ex-boss, and that he always admired my work ethic. Apparently, I showed forward thinking when I called him about the kids, and I showed a strong moral compass when I agreed to testify against his wife. Also, in case you guys were wondering, there has been a couple of updates about her court case. This stuff is not in the news, and I think it's kept pretty hush-hush. But apparently, she tried to bribe the judge into letting her off easy. I think she also tried to intimidate the jury, but I only got that impression based on the way he was talking about it. Well, the judge did not find this amusing, so now she's also being charged with bribery, and she's facing up to a 15-year sentence for it. Either that, or she has to pay a fine up to 3 times more than the initial bribe. And it doesn't sound like she's going to have that much money left, after paying multiple lawyers and firing them all within a week. So, the employees that were duped out of their paycheck for months have also somewhat gotten the idea that she's going to be let off easy, and they're not happy. This part was in the news. They've started picketing outside the court office with signs and everything. Apparently, a few of them have been arrested for disturbing the peace and hopes that the others will give up the cause, but they're angry. The weird thing is that as far as anyone knows, she's going to be made of an example out of. So no one knows where they got the idea that she was going to let her off easy. Personally, I think that she probably leaked that idea to them as some sort of revenge. She's a petty, mean-spirited lady, and I don't put it past her for one moment to think that she's going down. She's gonna be bringing some people who she hates down with her. I'm just glad I've stayed well out of the thing since my court appearance. Lord knows what she'd do to me. You know, the one who started it all. So, back to the phone call. Once he explained that he wanted me to take over one of his failing locations, I'll be honest, I nearly started hyperventilating. I have no experience managing a restaurant, no idea how to do it, no idea how to turn a restaurant from struggling to prosperous, and I did explain all of this to him. But he just laughed and told me that he would provide all the necessary training, and that he knew that I'd do a good job. I know that I said I was nervous and have no experience and all that, but a job is a job. And he's offering to pay me more than his ex-wife ever did. I said yes impulsively over the phone. But I gave it some thought after he hung up, and I have a plan. I'm going to do my best, obviously. I'm going to try very hard to live up to his expectations, but I'm also going to be smart about this. I'm going to invest most of my salary for as long as I last at the job, so that if I get fired after 6 months for running the place even further into the ground, I won't have to move back in with my mom again. He said that he'd call me back in a few days with some more details about it, so now I just have to sit tight and wait, without losing my mind. He said he was going to fly in the manager from his most successful location to train me personally. I don't know how much someone who runs a successful restaurant, though, can tell me about dragging a failing one up by the hair, but I'll take what I can get. All in all, I don't want to let this man down. He's being so kind for even considering giving me this position, and I don't want to disappoint him, but if I do, I will have steps in place. I'll have a bigger cushion of savings to protect me, and I'll have training from a world-class restaurant manager to put on my resume. Even if this job simply doesn't work out, I can apply to other restaurants and claim that this one was just too far gone for me to save. I'll let you all know how things go once I hear back. Update number 2, 1 week later. Hey everybody. It's been a week since I last updated the post. I've been absolutely inundated with messages asking me how everything's going. So, I thought that I'd let you all know what's been going on. I got a call from Ryan, my new boss. I realize now that I never actually told you guys his name, but I figure he's earned it now that he's actually my boss. I got a call from him 3 days ago asking me if I'd be able to fly to New York to shadow the manager at his most successful location for a few weeks. Well, I was nervous. I'd never even left the state, and I don't have the money to fly to New York, but he told me that he'd be paying for my travel and accommodation, while also paying me a wage. So, I'm flying out tomorrow morning, and I doubt that I'll be able to update you guys very much throughout the process because I get the sense that I'm going to be very busy. But I promise to, once I get back home, I'll let you all know how everything went. Obviously, I'm nervous. I've never flown before. I've only left my city once or twice, and New York is so big. I'm worried I'm going to be swallowed up by it. It feels like this thing is just too good to be true. I know that Ryan feels like he owes me a debt for calling him and letting him know what's going on with his kids, but I think he may be overthinking it. I didn't expect him to even remember my name. But now he's paying for me to be mentored by his best manager. Guys, it makes zero sense. Well, I'm going to log off after posting this. It's pretty late. And I have to get up really early to get to the airport in time for my flight tomorrow. So I want to get a few hours of sleep at least. Feels like there's a lead weight stuck in my stomach. I feel like I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop or something, but I'm trying to be positive. As positive as possible. Thanks again to everyone who's been following me throughout this journey. I really do appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving me over the last couple of months. Update number 3, 1 month later. Hey everybody, it's me. It's been like a month since I told you all that I was flying to New York, and I know that I did tell you all that, and well, to expect a long absence. I'm sorry for leaving it quite so long, though. I'm back home now. Just flew back in yesterday. And I have to tell you guys, I had the absolute best time of my life. I can't even explain how great everything was. I think that I might really be able to do this, and I might even be able to do it well. When Ryan told me that I was going to be shadowing someone, I pretty much expected that I was going to follow them around, taking notes, stuff like that. Oh no, that's not at all what happened. Janine, who's the manager I was supposed to be shadowing, took a real interest in me. It seems she was genuinely excited for me, and after getting to talk to her for a while, I realized why Ryan wanted us to meet so badly. Janine's journey had been eerily similar to mine, in the sense that she had zero experience running a restaurant until she was given a position by Ryan. Apparently, he'd done the same thing with her as he did me and given her a struggling location to fix up, and she managed to turn it into the most profitable U.S. location. I really did think I'd just be listening to her conversations, taking notes and whatnot. I thought that she would be way too busy to give me any direct help, but I was so wrong. From day one, she showed me everything and slowed it all down. I don't know how she managed that, because she has one of the most fast-paced jobs I've ever seen. But she somehow did it. Everything she did, she would explain how and why she was doing it. She even explained the super obvious parts, stuff you'd know if you'd ever worked in the food industry, but I had no idea about it. The best part was that she introduced me to several food vendors, and that she has a good relationship with all of them. I don't know, I just feel really like I've learned something, and I even somehow ended up making networking connections with people. It wasn't just the day-to-day management of the restaurant though. The restaurant opened at 12, so every day from 9 to 10 a.m., before she had to start working on getting the place ready to open, she would talk to me about marketing. She told me the step-by-steps of what she did to get the place out of the danger zone, and made sure that I understand exactly what she was telling me, not just pretending to. I won't keep going on and on about everything she taught me, because I'd be typing for literal hours. And I doubt you guys are about the every single day details of running a restaurant, but I'll say that I feel more prepared to start this job than I ever thought was possible. I feel like I might really be able to do this and do it well. I'm going to the location for the first time in 3 days, and then I'll just get off work. I'm too nervous, but I'm excited. I think my old job actually helped to prepare me for this pretty well, because I'm used to multitasking by now. Speaking of my old job, There's been some developments in Mary's court case, and the last month that I know you'll be eager to hear. She's been sentenced to 3 months in federal prison for tax evasion. On top of that, she's being sentenced to 4 years for malpractice in the workplace. And that's not it. An additional 5 years in federal maximum security prison for trying to bribe a judge. I don't think she's going to be getting out anytime soon, even if it is with good behavior. From what I've seen, Ryan seems to be enjoying her downfall a lot. He's visiting the restaurant a few times and brought the kids, and he always seems to get a certain satisfaction out of updating me on her status. Of course, he does it when the kids are all out of earshot, which I appreciate. I don't think it's right to bombard kids with their mother's prison sentences. As for the people who were picketing outside the courtroom, it seems an anonymous donor has paid for all their legal fees. After they all got arrested for disturbing the peace, they were all looking at some pretty harsh punishment. But all of a sudden, some of the best lawyers in the company showed up and offered to represent them absolutely for free. Most of them even got off with a caution and a slap on the wrist. And the ones who got a little ahead of themselves and started destroying public property were just given a fine. Personally, I suspect that Ryan is the one who paid them off to get light duties. I haven't asked him, obviously, but it seems pretty obvious from where I'm standing. He's the only rich guy in the country who has a reason to hold a grudge against her. So it's natural that he'd want to plan to get these people arrested to fail. The enemy of my enemy and all that talk. It feels kind of surreal saying this, that the woman I was working for up until a few months ago is actually going to prison. It doesn't fit the image of her I have in my head, and I always put together as elegant. There was a picture of her at the sentencing and the news, and she was crying, and I was actually starting to feel bad for her. I don't exactly feel responsible. I mean, I'm not the one who committed the crimes, but it's a heavy weight on my shoulders knowing that the only reason anybody even found out about what she did was that I could not hack some basic childcare. I'm not trying to let it bother me. I've just been repeating over and over to myself all the horrible things that she's ever said to me, all the verbal abuse, but she really was a good boss in some ways. She took a chance on a 20-year-old dropout, and I have to be thankful for that. It's just hard to balance both things being true at the same time. Update number 4. Hey guys, I can't actually believe how long it's been since I've posted. I just want to apologize for the really long wait. I know the last update ended on kind of a cliffhanger with a new job and everything, and I want to thank you all for the patience that you've shown me throughout all this. I'll get right to the meat of what you've been waiting for and let you know how the new job's going. All I can say that is, well, it's absolutely wonderful. I've been just over 6 months now, and since I took over, I can't even describe to you guys how much different the place is. The difference is like night and day. When I first showed up, even with all the new skills I had, even though I felt ready for the new challenge, I have to say that I was a little disheartened when I actually arrived. I doubt you guys really care about the day-to-day running of a restaurant, so I'll skimp on the details as much as I can, but I do have to brag a bit. The first thing I did was put all the staff on probation. I ended up having to fire about 50% of the original staff. I wanted to keep as many people as possible. I didn't want to be that new manager who came in to shake things up and end up firing everybody, but I had really no choice. After all the dead weight was dropped, I worked on the actual appearance of the place. I don't think the place had been renovated since the 80s, and the decor and was just so off-putting. It made it real hard to eat there. The booths, they were all ripped up leather. The carpet looked like it'd never been cleaned. I was nervous at first, telling Ryan that I felt the place needed to be updated, but he was pretty chill about it. He gave me a budget, and I somehow managed to turn the place around. I'll stop now with the shop talk, because I know that you guys aren't here for this. All I'll say again is that the place is doing really, really well. I've even got my name in the local magazine, which was probably one of the most surreal experiences of my life. They called me a rising star in the restaurant industry. Now, I still have a long way to go before the place actually becomes an established restaurant, but I can feel myself getting there day by day. Every day it feels like something happens that propels me just to go a little further. I know I'm making it sound like everything just kind of fell into place, but I have to tell you, all for the sake of my own ego, that I've worked my butt off to get where I am today. I barely slept those first few months, and I was walking around with the darkest under-eye bags anyone's ever seen. There was so much work involved, and I really did make this happen. The way I'm explaining it makes it seem like I was in the right place at the right time sort of thing. But that's just because I don't want to bore you guys with too much shop talk. I know, I've said this before, but I'm really grateful to all the people who gave me their love and support over the past few months. It's almost a year now since I was fired from my last job, and I really don't think I could have made it through all this bad times without the support you beautiful people have showed me. So thank you for that, I really appreciate it. Update number 5, final update. Hey everybody, everyone who's followed this crazy life journey of mine, it's been maybe a year. A year since I last even logged on here, to be honest, but I pretty much completely forgot about this thread. It's been a very busy year, so it really hasn't come into my head very much to give you guys the next update. I'll let you all know that things are going very well in time. The restaurant has really taken off over the past few months, and we've even had few celebrities come in. It's always good to press when they take some pictures with the art, and we always get a rush for a week or two afterward. I know that I said I would invest a lot of my salary in the beginning, just in case things didn't work out. And I promised that I really did do that for the first few months, but that sort of tapered off after a while. With the restaurant doing so well, there was really no need to do it anymore, and I don't see my employment going anywhere anytime soon. Ryan, he's very happy with me, thank goodness. I know that he felt like he owed me a debt for the whole kid debacle, but at this point it feels like I owe him my life. I've been able to start giving my mom some money every month, so she's been able to cut back on her hours. Even more than before, and her knee, it's just not bothering her nearly as much. I owe everything to that man, and in a way, I owe it to Marie as well. She's been serving her time for a while now, and there hasn't been much information about her in the news. Last I heard, she filed for an appeal of her sentence, but the evidence against her was so great that she was just laughed out of the courtroom. Ryan only talks about her when there's an excuse to badmouth her, and of course I follow his lead. When she's brought up, at least, I stay silent, and when she is, I talk badly about her. I feel guilty for it a little, but I'm just doing what I have to stay on his good grace. There's been no news of her, so I assume that she's living life quietly somewhere. There's no way she's going to be living to the same standard as she used to be when she gets out, because most of her money was either confiscated or spent on legal fees. The company was bought out by a competitor, and I've heard from a few old colleagues that the work atmosphere has gotten a lot better ever since she left, which I'm really happy to hear about. From what I hear from Ryan, he isn't looking for a new partner anytime soon. He seems very focused on the kids and his business, which is nice to hear. He's a good boss. Better boss than anyone I've ever had. And I appreciate all of his kindness and his faith in me. I'm pretty settled into his new job, and now that the restaurant's more established, I've been getting a little more free time, which is doing absolute wonders for my social life. I've said it many times, but I really do appreciate everyone who gave me advice over the past 2 years. I couldn't have gotten through all this without you guys. It's not one of those times in a story like this that has an update come out so much later that you see positivity or having the OP be successful in their endeavors or where they decide to go from the first post. But this one's different. OP actually finds a job, and OP's able to get a career path, leading as a manager and turning a restaurant around. That's pretty cool. I'm glad it worked out for OP. As for OP's ex-boss, yeah, she ended up in the big boy prison for multiple years, and I did not see that coming when she was going to bribe the judge. Who thinks they can even get away with that nowadays? Guys, thank you for watching part 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about it, and don't forget to watch part 1 if you did happen to skip ahead. You can find it in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe for more daily videos. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow.